Hi, folks. My name's Tony Alongi. I am a resident of Hastings and a former colleague of Mayor His Honor Paul Hicks on the City Council for several years. I'm here just to get things kicked off. I want to thank all of you for being here. A note that I found out just a few moments ago, apparently we are live on local media, so I have to change all of my script to take all the words. I need some word choices. I'm going to be very difficult for me, but I'll do my best. In all seriousness, it's so wonderful to see so many happy faces here, supportive faces for Paul. Really? We're all here for you. Okay, that's terrific. That's great. To get things kicked off, I know that this is something that Paul often does when he kicks things off. He likes to recognize people in the audience. The issue, of course, is that there are so many of you. Individual attention is going to be a little difficult. So if I could just have all of the elected officials at whatever level, state, city, whatever, if you've been an elected official, past, present, future, that has served in this area, could you just kind of raise your hand for folks? Thank you for being here. Yep, thank you. Okay. If you are city staff and you have had to work for this tyrant for any length of time, could you please raise your hand and we can applaud you and recognize you? All right. And if you are a resident of Hastings and you voted for him, could you raise your hand? Okay. Cheers for you too. You can applaud yourselves. You can applaud yourselves. It just been, thank goodness your mom raised her hand. Yeah. Quick aside joke, my lovely wife Mary Janice once and we actually got into an argument once, if you can believe it, and she said to me at one point, "I can't believe I voted for you twice," right? And I'm like, "I ran 3 times." Anyway, thanks, honey. Any vote's a good vote, right? All right. So I wanted to, of course, we're here to celebrate Paul and to celebrate the wonderful journey in public service that he's represented in leadership to Hastings. Service as mayor for the last 12 years. That's 3 full terms. He's leaving of his own accord, decided not to run this year for re-election. And I think after that level of service and before that, don't forget, he was on city council for 4 terms, 16 years. So 28 total years in elected service. Did not lose an election that you ran in. If memory serves, you were not even challenged the last 2 times that you ran, which is like a Saddam Hussein-like level of respect among the populace. So congratulations. We'll have to put up a statue of you later so we can tear it down during the revolution. That'll be nice. So 28 years, and to put that in perspective, and I say this with deep respect for everybody who's both still on that council or maybe coming on, if you took the longest serving member currently on the council, I won't name him, but if you took that longest serving member, that person, that individual would have to serve another 20 years of time, if my math is correct, roughly 20 years in elected service in order to equal that record. As you look through the historical records, I gave it a quick glance. I like to read from time to time, and so I gave it a quick glance. And if you look through historical records, Hastings really hasn't had a mayor like Paul. I could turn that into a joke, but I don't want to. There really hasn't been a mayor like that in terms of the record, in terms of the popularity, in terms of the record of service, and as we'll hear from others today, the accomplishments. And so I won't steal anybody else's thunder in terms of the accomplishments they want to list, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of you for being here, for helping me and everybody else who's ever served with Paul or alongside Paul to say thank you to this absolutely fine public servant, one of the most outstanding public servants I've ever had the honor of knowing. And thank you, Paul, for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight and to honor you. Before I give up the microphone to Lee, I just also want to take a moment to recognize Melanie Mesco-Lee, our city administrator, who is also outgoing, and she hates it when this sort of thing happens and she gets some spotlight, but we should have parties like this every once in a while, or at least mention them at parties. Melanie Mesco-Lee has been an outstanding city administrator for several years now since she was appointed. It's been about 13. Okay, so 5 years. Excuse me. I'm old and I don't count well anymore. But 5 years, and you're moving on to Burnsville. They are extremely lucky to have you. Extremely fortunate. I want to take a moment to say thank you for your service as well, Melanie. With that. We all know that anything good that happened for the last 5 years that Paul was here was not because of Paul. We get it. We know. All right. With that, I'm going to hand it over to our the city's communications director, Lee Stoffel, and I believe that you're going to take us through the rest of the program. Do I have that correct? All right. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. Actually, I'm a little shorter. I'm Lee Stoffel. I'm communications coordinator for the city of Hastings, and I've had the pleasure of working here for the last 5, almost 6 years. If you know Paul, which all of you obviously do, you know that Paul has no problem speaking, being in front of the camera, talking, telling stories. He's wonderful. Pretty much a communicator's dream to work for. So he's been great to work for, and I've learned a lot from him. But we decided that we'd like to turn the tables a little bit and share a few stories of our own. So without further ado, we have a little video for everyone to watch.
It's not an easy thing to do, to run for city council, because you're putting yourself on the spot. But these are special people that are willing to commit themselves to dedicate themselves to civic affairs.
Paul is a natural-born leader, natural-born mayor.
He's kind and approachable.
He always had the people of Hastings in mind when he was serving as mayor.
He just displays a level of commitment to our community. He loves our community, it's clear to see.
He was excellent, and still is excellent, at drawing people in to his leadership and making them feel like they're being listened to, they're being seen, they're being recognized. He's just a phenomenal leader.
The power to say yes. How do we get there? Take new ideas, don't say no right away, and see where we can go with it.
He was a great ambassador for the city of Hastings, always trying to do what was right for the people.
There hasn't ever been a time that I've been around him where he didn't show appreciation for you and what you were trying to do to help the city be successful.
Steady Bridge has seen the construction of its capable, impressive companion and successor, readying itself to take on the task of carrying 33,000 vehicles every day.
One of the things I've always been impressed by is at council meetings, he runs a great meeting and he's always very approachable to those who come to the meeting. I mean, a council experience for many people who are not involved in it can be intimidating. It's almost like going to court. But during the meeting, he is always very welcoming, and I think people feel at ease to be able to talk to the council in a more informal setting.
Many may realize that later this week on Thursday, June 21st, is going to be Make Music Day in City Hastings, which I believe is an international event.
His ability to get things done and get things done in a collaborative way has really been outstanding.
Just one of those kinds of people that I could always count on when I needed something or I needed help or just needed a friend.
It's always been a pleasure knowing him. He's always been an active member of the community.
The City of Hastings is committed on how and find ways to better foster these connections of diversity, inclusiveness, and equity.
He is the example of what a mayor should be.
In the almost 20 years I've worked with Paul, he's always had the utmost integrity in serving the community as a whole, being balanced and listening to all sides.
He has always conveyed the experience of a leader, and especially a diplomatic leader.
Leadership is about inspiration and courage and service and getting things done. And that's what Paul Hicks' legacy is going to be. It's going to be about all the great things that he did for Hastings, the tangible accomplishments like the way the bridge looks and the riverfront renaissance that's right alongside it.
Many of my peers are envious of us of having a mayor like Paul Hicks.
You always had the people of Hastings in mind, and you did a great job.
You brought a ton of success to the community. You've handled it with grace and dignity the whole way through, integrity. and I wish you nothing but the best.
I'm going to dearly miss him at the helm of city government because I think he did just a fabulous job.
It has been truly an honor to serve with him, and I'm going to miss him on the city council.
A motion to adjourn is in order. Councilmember Balsanic makes that motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilmember Vaughn. That is a non-debatable motion. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
So, Paul, that meant a lot to us. You mean a lot to us. It has been an honor to get to learn from you, watch the way that you lead our city with the utmost decorum at every moment of time. So anyway, we thank you, and we have a few gifts to present. If there's anybody else that wants to say something at the end of our presentation, we have a couple people that I think are going to come up and say a few words for Paul. But I would like to present our first gift is going to be from Brian Schaefer, Police Chief.
Not sure what that gift is yet.
That video was something, folks. I'm really touched by that. That is unbelievable. Thank you so much for involving me. I'm deeply touched by that.
Did you know when every time Paul speaks, he pulls out a piece of paper?
Yes,
So, and I promised I would keep it short. So, I said, first of all, congratulations on your 28 years of distinguished service to the City of Hastings. Speaking just for the Hastings Police Department, we've been honored to serve under your watch. In my tenure, you've always supported the police department, from swearing in of our volunteers to the additional new members of our team, promotions, appointees. You've always been clear the day that they stood in front of City Council. You made a point to let them know that they are supported by yourself, the council, and the community. And as I said in the video, you really have set the bar, and many of my peers are envious that we had a mayor such as you. So I want to get that, make sure that's clear. With that, I just wanted to present you with a plaque from the Hastings Police Department. And it says, Mayor Paul Hicks, in recognition of your outstanding service and support to the Hastings Police Department, dated December 12th, 2018. And as you see, it's an official Hastings Police Department badge with mayor at the top. And it's something I hope that you will cherish for the rest of your life. And one more thing. I know they were trying to find a bunch of pictures. This is a good picture of you, but this...
There's no good pictures of me.
This is an official Hastings Police Department identification card, making you an honorary member of the Hastings Police Department. Congratulations very much. You can have that.
One thing I know for sure is that my brother Wayne will always outrank me. Right, Sergeant? Thank you.
Okay, next, two things. First off, I want to remember to thank Hastings Community TV. They made that wonderful video with special thanks to Kurt. He was the one who pulled it all together, and it was very touching and very well done.
Thank you,
Next, I'd like to invite up Nick Egger. He's going to present the mayor with another gift.
Must be the Christmas season.
Yeah. In fact, we even wrapped yours here. Thank you, and again, congratulations, Paul. It's been an honor to serve with you and work alongside you these last 16 years for me and see in action. You've always been a great supporter of good infrastructure and an advocate for that. And I think over the course of your career here as council member and as mayor, there's probably not too many streets or neighborhoods in town where there hasn't been an impact made by a city project that you had substantial, role in approving or promoting. Case in point, Riverfront Renaissance, the bridge, and I could go on and on all night here, but that just shows your dedication to the things that we do from a public works standpoint that help improve and sustain the good quality of life that we have here, whether it's residents or businesses, and ensuring their success. So as a token of our gratitude for that immeasurable role, we've gotten you something that I think is pretty appropriate to kind of speak to that side of things. So, but you will have to unwrap it.
Oh, my goodness.
It wasn't,
Where's the Christmas tree?
anybody guess what this might be? The suspense is building.
Yeah.
Just tear it off. There we go.
My goodness. Oh, look at that. I love that sign.
Thought you would. Thought you would.
Thank you very much. That's awesome.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say, we're going to get this down to hidden greens, and
Yeah.
we're going to put this down the fairway.
Oh, yeah.
Hole 3. We're just going
exactly.
to call it Paul Hicks Avenue, given how well you shoot on that hole.
Well, it's going to be in the middle of the woods then. That's where it's going to end up. Or in the water. Thanks again.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome.
You're welcome.
That's very cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
I think at this point, I'm turning it over to Melanie to have a few words.
So the mayor has a phrase. I feel a speech coming on. I promise I will not.
I'm
I will not.
gravitating to that microphone.
Right. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, and there's not much more I can say that hasn't already been said or demonstrated on the video. Paul, thank you. I've worked with you for a long time. It's been awesome. I've learned a lot from you, and you have been the epitome of integrity and grace and diplomacy. So thank you for that. On the staff level, I want to thank our staff who helped pull tonight's event together. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. None of these good things do. So I want to thank Lee and Nick and Brian and Julie and everybody else that helped out. So thank you so much. And I know you also like quotes.
I
And you
love
like
quotes.
And you like presidents.
And I like presidents.
So I hope you like this one. So,
Okay.
John Quincy Adams said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." So, Paul, on behalf of our staff, we have a gift, and I want to explain it a little bit here. And the city, so you'll see, obviously, this is the Riverfront Renaissance and the bridge. You like big projects, and this is an aerial of two big projects that you were instrumental in. And then underneath, inscribed below, is the Athenian Oath. And I don't know who is familiar with the Athenian Oath, but it's an original oath it was required in ancient Athens to become a citizen. And so there's been a number of iterations over the centuries, but the core message remains the same. There's honor in public service. And I sort of feel like it fits. And I won't read the whole oath, but I do want to read the end of it because I think this is a good ending. It states, "In all these ways, we will transmit the city, not only, not less, but greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us." And I think that fits.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is awesome.
So I know I'm keeping you between you and the microphone, so just hold tight here. I know we've got Commissioner Slavic here who asked to say a few words.
Former council member of the great city of Hastings as well. Commissioner?
Good morning. Well, good evening. Just a couple things. I'd like to just take a couple minutes to do a brief reflection, but also want to start out by sending my Senator Bigham went, and she sends her regrets that she's not able to be here. But you got a letter from her. Well, I actually have a resolution from the Senate that she wanted to present to you from Cal Ludeman and Paul Gazelka, chair of the Senate, and Senator Bigham. They passed a resolution on your behalf, which I won't read for you, but I do want to present to you on behalf of Senator Bigham for that. So there's my gift.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Representative Tony Jurgens is here, and at the last City Council meeting, he presented a resolution from the House of Representatives, and now I have one from the Senate. Yeah. So we'll be able to get along. The House and Senate.
That's
so
how
this is
we.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Mayor, you know, as you noted, I did have the honor to go and serve with you for 6 years. And I just wanted to say that I've been 6 years on the Dakota County Board of Commissioners representing Hastings. And last year I had the opportunity to serve as chair of the board. My colleagues had selected me. And one of the things that they said after we were done for the year said, boy, you know how to chair a meeting. And I said, I learned it from Mayor Hicks. Because I will say that, you know, watching you for 6 years really went, and I think many in this room will say the guidance, the leadership, and the professionalism of how you run a meeting is something that I've learned and hope to continue. In fact, my colleagues have elected me as vice chair-elect again to be able to chair in 2020. So they said, I don't know if it's because they say that way I won't talk so much, but the fact is that I really go and attribute a lot of my leadership in terms of how I would run a meeting to what I learned from you for 6 years. So, congratulations. Wish you the best in your next adventures.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor, you have 3 of your colleagues that have asked to say a few words to you tonight. So we're going to go in order of tenure. So, okay. Councilmember Fulch, Ward 1, Councilmember Fulch.
Hello, everyone. As Melanie just said, I'm Tina Fulch, and I have only been a member of the council for the past 2 years. I represent Ward 1. I took Tony Alongi's place. And I have to say, I just wanted to take a couple moments to touch upon the one aspect about Paul that really has put me in awe the last 2 years. And that's been the affection that this man holds for all of us in our community. And I think I'm just going to tell a quick story to illustrate the point. It was over a year ago, I had asked Paul if we could talk. And so he said, sure. And we set up a morning meeting at Perkins on the weekend. And so I got there a little early, make sure I had a good spot. And Paul came in, and he came on over, and he put down his coat. And he said to me, could I just have a moment? I have a couple folks I'd like to greet, and say hello to. And so I was, of course, go right ahead. And yeah, and I have to tell you what happened. So I watched this man proceed to, at a minimum, 4 to 5 different tables and catching people in between, going around. And he took the time to acknowledge each person as an individual. And he let them know how much they were appreciated and that he was truly glad to see them this morning. And I have to say, I was amazed because I've never seen anyone take that kind of precious time to make people feel so important. And furthermore, I've never seen someone so effortlessly bring so much positive energy and kindness with him. Undoubtedly, you made all those people feel appreciated and important. And in the last 2 years, I've witnessed this genuine quality about Paul repeatedly. He has a natural ability to actively listen, make people feel important, and recognize us each as individuals. So most of us who know Paul know he doesn't do it for the celebrity or the money, that's for sure, right? I believe he has done it for the love of us, for we are all in his heart. And I can't thank you enough for that, Paul. You're the best.
It's always good to have the sound guy.
Thank you. My name is Lori Brox. I'm an at-large council member for the city of Hastings, and I wanted to start my remarks by reading a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, and I think the mayor will appreciate this because almost every speech I've seen him give has a historical reference at the beginning. So I thought it was the most appropriate way to start my remarks. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms and great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause. There's nobody who reminds me of this more than Mayor Paul Hicks. And I am grateful to have worked with him. I am grateful for his leadership for the city of Hastings. I'm grateful for his love of the people and the history that he knows, not only of our city and all the people in our city, but our state. And I'm hoping that Mayor Hicks uses his retirement to be a tour guide, either of the city of Hastings or the Capitol, because I know he has a lot of knowledge to share with us. And I just want to express, I know a lot of people have already talked about his accomplishments. I just wanted to personally thank him and express my gratitude for all that he's given to me, my family, for his optimism, for his positive energy, for his leadership. And I'm just very thankful to have known him, to have worked with him. And the thing that I decided, my husband and I decided to do as a gift to Paul isn't here as a tangible item. But we decided that in his honor this year, we would fund the alumni scholarship in his name and select a student from the graduating class of Hastings Senior High School who is going into politics and government. And so we're hoping that you and us will present a scholarship to a graduating senior at Hastings and honor you in that way. I can think of no better way to honor our mayor than to invest in the future of the city of Hastings. Thank you.
Well, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking.
I know better.
Yeah, I know. You do. I've had the honor of working with Paul for 10 years on the city council, and I wish it was longer. The first time I ran for the city council, you know, you have to go out and door knock, and one person answered the door and said, "Yep, I know Paul. I went to school with him at Hamlin University." "Oh, you did?" I said, "You know, I used to teach there." "Okay, so we're talking a little bit." He said, "Yeah," he said, "it was really something." He said, "I'll never forget Paul because he came up to me in the hallway at the dorm and he shook my hand and he said, 'Hi, my name is Paul Hicks. Remember that name? Someday I'm going to be president.'"
How'd that work out for me?
Let me say, Paul, there's plenty of time. You know, a good mayor should understand Robert's Rules of Order, and Paul certainly did that. I was absolutely impressed and humbled by his ability to run meetings and run them in a very diplomatic and professional way. A great mayor, I think, knows when to say what needs to be said and then goes and says it. And I think Paul has certainly done that in the years that I've worked with him on the council and certainly before I was on the city council. I said to myself, oh my God, Paul loves quotes and always likes to quote, you know, someone. And I thought, what is going to be my quote for Mayor Hicks? Well, My quote is from Mayor Paul Hicks.
I have one? Keep it clean, Joe, keep it clean.
Because a brilliant mayor will say, you know what I'm going to say? I think we are fully informed.
That's right.
I loved when he said that because I knew the vote was coming immediately after that. Darn it, there was a neat little quote that I had on the video and it got snipped to the floor. I guess I talked too long. But, you know, they said, what can you say about Paul Hicks as mayor? And what leapt to my mind was, Paul is the Wizard of Oz who brought everybody back to Kansas. You really did. There has been so much growth in the city in the 10 years that I've been on, and certainly, you know, growth that occurred before I got on the council with Paul. You know, I could go on, but I think all we have to do is look around and see what a vibrant, comfortable, happy community that we have. And I think Paul has really helped to set the tone for that aura, that atmosphere that is part of Hastings. I have a gift for you, Paul. And Betsy and I worked on this an awful lot in the last few days. And I do want to thank Mac Magoon Studios, and I want to thank our city staff for taking time out from their always very busy schedule to help me put some things together for you. What this is, Paul, and I hope you will show this to folks as we finish up the ceremonies here tonight. It is a compilation of group pictures from past city councils that have served the community. And by gosh, Paul is in there too, on all of those pictures. That's the good news. The bad news is that it's not a complete set of group pictures of former council members. What happened was you've been on the council for so long that
the camera wasn't invented yet.
Would you quit reading my notes? That's what I was going to say.
I got to the punchline.
The camera wasn't invented yet, but I don't think fire was invented yet either, as a matter of fact. But I would like to present this to you. We've got some patches from the police department and the fire department as well. I hope you can add to it. I do intend, and I always fulfill my promises, I do intend to find the other pictures. They're in a shed, they're in a garage over at Mac Magoon. And Cindy and I are going to buzz through there, and eventually we will find them. There is plenty of room for you to add any other photos that you have that you would like to add to that. So on behalf of Betsy and me, I want to present this to you. And again, thank you very much for I'm sorry. I would like to introduce Representative Tony Juergens, who would like to say a few words as well.
Well, Mayor Hicks, I did have the honor to present you with the House resolution at the last council meeting, but I just want to take the opportunity tonight and just give you some of my thoughts working with Paul the last 2 years, he as mayor and as state representative at the state capitol. And when you hear the words that are describing Paul tonight, it's honesty, it's integrity, it's leadership, and if you're a mayor of a city, I can't think of any better description than those 3 words. And from my vantage point, he demonstrates those same qualities in his job at the House of Representatives. One of his coworkers, Gail, is here tonight to help honor him. And all of you have seen Paul. He might get a little animated at times. If you ever have the opportunity to come with a school group up to the Capitol, he ratchets that up even further. It truly is a pleasure. He gets so excited about the history of the building, the history of the body. We kind of tag team on some of those school groups, but for the most part, I stand back and let Paul go. Especially when they ask historical questions. I don't know the answer to a lot of those, but Paul does. So most of you are probably jealous that even though Paul is stepping away from being mayor of Hastings, I get to continue working with him up at the state capitol. So Paul, I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your guidance and your help in me doing my job. But most of all, I want to thank you for your friendship.
Let's see now. Where's my notes? Wow, that's all I can tell you. Staff, thank you, and City Council. What an evening. I'm really touched. I'm humbled. All of you are here. I think of all the times I've had public speaking, nothing's harder than this one, because I don't know if I can show all the love that I really feel to each and every one of you. I want to thank all the speakers who are just here. Thank you for your words and thoughts. They mean a lot to me. I want to start out by thanking people. To serve as an elected official, you need support of many people. And the first person I want to introduce, and we call her in the city of Hastings, is the Queen Mom. And that's my mother. Our mother. Mom? I don't think the Queen Mom ever forgave me for, in 1968 is how I got interested in politics. I was 9 years old, and I begged my mother and my father, please, can I stay up to watch the National Convention? In 1968, the year that got me interested in politics, with everything was 2 Minnesotans running for president of the United States, right? So that news was always here in Minnesota. Hubert Humphrey and Eugene McCarthy, the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. So that's why I have Bobby Kennedy's presidential poster in my office. It reminds me of 1968. That's when I got interested in politics, and I'll talk about that in just a bit. So thanks, Mom. You were pretty good at driving in those rebar for those early signs. Appreciated all that. She was the lawn sign chairman at one time. I'd like to thank, and one person I really want to thank who's not here is my father. I love you, Dad. You'd be really proud of this moment. So thank you, Dad. I learned so much from my father. And my dad was a good man, and I tried to emulate him all my adult life, and I know us boys try to do that. I want to thank my brother Wayne, who's here, who 20-plus years service on Hastings PD as sergeant. Thank you, Wayne. Believe me, in the end, you helped more people than I did, and you have an outstanding career. And I always looked up to you. You did a job I could never do. And thanks, Wayne, for everything you've done, my friend. His wife, Lori, and Nathan and Jenna, they're fantastic in getting that literature out. They were quick. I tell you, I liked it. I want to remember, first and foremost, my daughter, Danielle, who could not be here tonight because she's in finals week. She's near finals tonight at the University of Wisconsin in Platteville, but she was pretty sad. When I told her my decision not to run for re-election, she says, Dad, how can you do that? I said, what do you mean? He said, you've been mayor since I was on the second grade. You're in city council before I was even born. That's the only life I know. Well, welcome to a new life. But I love her dearly, and she's a great daughter. I want to remember my twin brother Pat, who wanted to be here tonight, but Pat is in Denver. He works for Arden Mills, same company that has a large mill here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was called to Denver at a conference, and he sent his best, and his wife Kathy and his 2 kids, Nikki and Jamie. I want to also remember my uncle who passed away last year, Bob Hadlick. Bob Hadlick owned the Christmas Tree Farm that some of you know about on the south side of town. Bob was a very political person in our family, and he was a big influence on me. Bob had his passion about politics, had his passion about the way America should be, how our city should be. He loved Hastings. He told me all the time about growing up here in this town. In fact, I give him partial credit to the very front of this courthouse, because when we took this courthouse and we turned it into City Hall, there were plans to put a parking lot in the front. And Bob and I were talking about it. Paul, you can't let that happen. I was a kid. I ran in here, and there was a lawn. It was a town square. So, Bob, I agree with you. So at the next council meeting, the issue came up, and the architect was up there giving it all the cool-looking parking lot designs. And I raised my hand and I said, "Where's the one without the parking lot?" They said there weren't any. Well, you can tell who won that argument. So thanks, Bob. I want to thank Susie, my significant other, right? She always says SIGO. It's not easy to go out with an elected official. You know, when we're sitting there having dinner and all of a sudden, you know, I don't want to bother you, Your Honor, but, okay? And now Susie's drawn into the conversation. So thank you, sweetheart. She's been just fabulous, being so supportive for about 8 years. And thank you for everything, honey. I appreciate it, okay? I also want to recognize Lisa in the back. Oh, please. Lisa's in the back, Danielle's mom. Wave. There you go. You know, Lisa was so helpful, was there when we first won the election. And it's so hard when you're raising a daughter and you have a busy schedule that you have to work with that partner to be able to make things work. And she was there to help me and, you know, each other. And when Danielle had to, you know, be taken care of, Lisa picked up the mantle, and because I might have had a council meeting, or I had a committee meeting of the council, I had to go meet with a developer, or something was going on. And so thank you. I want to thank the city council members who are here tonight. Lisa Liefeld, and then you met Councilmember Brox, Lori Brox, Councilmember, let's see, Mark Vaughn's here. Mark Vaughn, okay. Councilmember Tina Foltz that you met here, okay. Councilmember Lund in the back there. Councilmember Balsanic that you met, speaking. You know, we're so fortunate in the city of Hastings to have outstanding people working for our city. You know, just because you're mayor doesn't mean, you know, all these things happen. I know you know that. It takes a team and collaborative effort, and we have that here. We've had that since I got elected in 1990. There's always been an effort to collaborate. You get things done by working together, even when you find differences, and I talk about that in a little bit. So thank you. Former council members, I've met a lot of them here tonight. Former council members, Barb's here, and Jeanette Yandersitz, okay, and Barb back there. Thank you, Barb. S&C Toys, there's your plug. If you need some Christmas shopping done, downtown Hastings. I know there was other former council members here. Is there any others? Tony Nelson, right over there, and Dana Schultz, of course, and Tony Alonji, of course. Tony and I play golf every Saturday, and I love playing golf with Tony because I feel like I'm a good golfer when I golf with Tony. Yeah, there's so much footage. Thank you. I want to thank, is Dick here? He was here earlier. Is Dick still here? But Dick Mathewitz was here. He was on the city council when I first started. Remember Dick very well. Thank you for all being here. Thank you, city staff. We recognized Melanie earlier. Melanie, you know, there's a special relationship between a mayor and the city administrator. We talk just about every day. Some days she was, Paul, I'd really like to talk to you, because sometimes I was always reachable. So I like to make sure that staff have the leeway to do what they need to do. But a relationship between a city administrator and a mayor is very important. And thank you, Melanie. You're an outstanding professional. I learned a lot from you. And you're thoughtful and intelligent. And the city of Burnsville has a great city administrator coming on board. You're going to be missed here in this community. Thank you for everything. Thank you, staff, with the gifts from all the departments. You know, we have a great staff, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And before you leave, Your Honor, I just want to announce there are some for my friends here who are mayors, and I'd like to recognize them. Mayor Doug Anderson from Lakeville, thank you, Your Honor, for being here, and his lovely wife. Mayor Dan O'Leary from Sunfish Lake. Dan, thank you so much for being here. Mayor Sandy Dingle is here, right back there waving, from the great city of St. Paul Park. Thank you, Your Honor. And then a really fun guy who I first worked with in 1983 when I joined the legislature. And he's a good friend of mine. That's how we first got to know each other. We were both working in the chief clerk's office in 1983. We were just young pups then. My good friend Dave Bartholomew, the mayor of Circle Pines. Thank you. Earlier this evening, we had the League of Minnesota Cities president here, executive director Dave Onmach, and he's a good friend of mine, and I appreciate him coming down here from the cities. And then I want to recognize two more people, and then I'll get going. I could probably, oh my. I wanted to say thank you to a very good friend, Judy Gilbert. Where's Judy? My friend Judy was the first person to be the Hicks for Mayor Committee. Might have been the only one on the committee. And also for my races in City Council, thank you for all your help, honey. I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. And I want to put out a special shout out to Bernice Lichtblau, who's a friend of mine. She's 80-some years old. And she's important because I've got to change her name into a verb. And so, how do you do that, Mayor? Well, we talk about transportation options. She used to like our old track bus system because it would pick her up at her house and take her anywhere she wanted to go. Well, because of funding concerns, it's complicated. I won't get into it. It didn't quite work out. So now we talk about how we're going to Berniceify, okay, our transportation system. How are we going to make it for Bernice? You know, how are we going to Bernice this system? So we turned her name into a verb. But she's a good friend and always been a good supporter of mine. She's 89 years old, so she's a great gal. You know, this occasion renders me to be almost speechless. Can you tell? But seriously, it touches my heart. I'm indeed so fortunate to be surrounded by such wonderful people. You know, I look around this room and I love you all. Thank you. You know, that's what life is about. Life is about relationships and people. You know, you got ahead of me. This is good because I have a quote from a president. Abraham Lincoln once said, "I'm a success today because I had a friend who believed in me and I didn't have the heart to let him down." I know that feeling. You know, you have friends that support you, but you work on the city, you don't want to let them down. And you work hard for the people of the city and your friends. It's often said that many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart. There are friends, there is family. There are friends that become family. And good friends are like stars. You always see them, and you don't always see them, but you always know that they're there. Thank you, family and friends. I've been fortunate to have a city family for 28 years. Thank you, city, staff, everyone who was here from the city staff, and the gifts tonight and the recognition. It means so much. Working and accomplishing important goals that support our great community. Thank you, city staff, for your support and your tireless effort to the citizens of Hastings. I will never forget your dedication to our Hastings community. You have made the city council and I look very good for so many years. Thank you. I've had the honor of working with many council members over these past 28 years, and I can honestly tell you that I have enjoyed each and every one of them. It seems that the more that we may have in differences is what also brought us more together. United in making a better Hastings while respecting our differences. We knew that as elected leaders, we must build consensus or fail. And failing is not an option. So like an old washing machine, we would take problems, and they would get twisted, and they go in the spin cycle, and they'd get knocked around. But in the end, what you have is a cleaner, brighter, and then better before than what was happening before when we get done with that load of wash, right? Sitting in the front row all these years, for 28 years, being on city council, I can tell you that we have been blessed in Hastings to have outstanding public servants on the council serving our residents that have been very proud, and I'm very proud to call them not only my colleagues, but my friends. Thank you, present and former council members. Thank you. Looking back at my career as an elected official, I learned that being in a local grocery store is quite a learning experience. You know, and everybody wants to get into social media these days. When we do it, we love social media. You really want to know what the people are thinking? You really want to know what the people want? Do you really want to get a gauge of society? Mayors, council members, hang around the grocery store. Because they're going to tell you. We're going to have fancy meetings. You know, we can do this, we can do that, we can send surveys. But just stand at the grocery store. I remember the first time I got elected on the city council, I'm taking my little cart around the local grocery store. And somebody said behind me, referendum, referendum. And I was just elected. I said, what that's going on? Referendum. What it was is that we were engaged in trying to turn this building into City Hall. The city council had made a decision to bond. Our city charter allows us 6 out of 7 council members to bond to do this project. So we decided to do that. But this individual felt we should have taken that issue to a referendum. And that's how he indicated, that's how he was going to tell me about it. We voted, 6 out of 7. It was many times over, I'd ask Danielle, say, Danielle, I'm going to the grocery store. I need to get some milk. Got to get some milk, Danielle. Come on, let's go. Dad, I'm not going. Come on, we're just going to get some milk. Dad, I'm not going to the grocery store. And I said, well, why is that? He says, because every time you go there, it's an hour. I don't care what you're picking up this milk, we can't get out of there. Members, mayors, council members, go to the grocery store. And shortly after I was elected mayor, I was coasting around the store. And I thought, wow, this is kind of neat. I won the mayoralship. I'm going to be mayor of this town. I'm once again taking my cart through the grocery store. And I heard this woman screaming at the top of her lungs, Your Honor! Your Honor! And I thought, oh my goodness sakes. I said, there must be somebody important here. And I'm looking around, there must be a judge here or something. And I'm looking around, and I see her coming up the aisle in the grocery store, Your Honor! And she's talking to me. And I said, yes? And I thought, oh, that's the first time somebody called me Your Honor. And I said, oh, well, she was talking to me the whole time. Learned a lot in the grocery store. Years go by fast, and as new council member, one of the first priorities to have when I was in the city council, I'm going to go fast through this, as I remember, because people ask me, what do you remember, Paul, of your 28 years? this building, second oldest courthouse in the state of Minnesota, and we were happy to preserve it, and that's what led me to first run for city council 28 years ago. That and a couple other issues, but this was the main one. And we moved out of which is now the Onion Grill Restaurant, which is the old city council, or excuse me, the old city hall, and we moved it up here in 1993. This became the city's new home. Sometimes what's important about cities is what doesn't get built. And I was a part of a coalition, represented the city council as a council member on what's called SOAR, Stop Our Airport Relocation. People have forgotten it now, but it was a big issue in the 90s. They targeted Vermilion Township and Marchand Township as the home of the brand new international airport. And that came very, very close. I and some members of SOAR and the city, I spent a lot of time at the legislature, imagine that, Tony, at the legislature, testifying toward MAC and Met Council and the environmental. I didn't even know about all of these boards that we had to go testify. We went to all of them, and we were successful in that effort. Thank goodness. It didn't change our great city, Hastings. As mayor, you talked a little bit about it tonight. You know, when I first ran for mayor, I said, and this was no secret to a lot of people in this room, we needed a new bridge. My goodness sakes, we had 4 lanes of traffic going a single lane bridge with 33,000 vehicles a day. The most heavily traveled bridge in the state of Minnesota. And I brought MnDOT down here at our first meeting in January 2007 and said, well, Mayor, yeah, that's a good idea, but you know what? We're going to do that in probably 2018. Then they gave me a wink and a nod, but we probably won't have the money, so it's probably post-2020. Well, unfortunately for our state, we had that terrible tragedy in Minneapolis on Highway 35W, but then focus was on infrastructure, and we were already in the queue because of our efforts to build this bridge. And I'm very proud of that bridge. And the Commissioner of Transportation was tired of seeing my face. I didn't care. I said, we're going to have a different kind of bridge in this city. We're not going to have some cookie-cutter bridge. And we have the longest, people know I say this all the time, the longest tide arch bridge, okay, in North America, at 545 feet. And I said, Commissioner, there's one more thing before I left that room you're going to do to this bridge. And he said, what's that, Your Honor? And he's getting tired of talking to me. And I said, you're going to light this thing like a Christmas tree. It's lit. Just look out the window. I love downtown Hastings. That's what makes us different among other suburbs of the Twin Cities area. My goodness sakes, they're trying to build downtowns like what we have here, right? And we're so fortunate to have a beautiful downtown. And I'm so glad of all the efforts that we've made for downtown, the investments we've made in downtown Hastings. Every area in our great city is important, but the soul of Hastings is in downtown, because that's where it all started, okay? Prior to the buildings down there, we have Native Americans coming across the river to come on this side. Why? Because that's where the natural turnips were were growing here, and they collected it as a food source. And then there is this Lieutenant William Oliver, who stops along the Mississippi River. He's taking some supplies up to this new fort, later to be called Fort Snelling. He gets stuck, he gets iced out, he lands here, and they forage the winter here, he dispatched soldiers to watch over the supplies for the whole winter and became Oliver's Grove for a while, named after that lieutenant. Downtown Hastings is special, and I'm proud of the efforts that our city and our city council have made to revitalize the downtown, and I'm glad it's hard to find a parking spot on Friday and Saturday night in downtown Hastings. The Hudson Project, I can't wait. On next Monday night, the old industrial site will be our last vote on the city council to have the project go forward. It's going to be a future hotel, event center, okay, a restaurant and apartments. And I started, not me, but the whole city, we started this project in 2010, and now I get a chance to vote on the very last measure so we can start construction in January, and I'm very proud of that. And across on the other side, the other anchor of downtown is Art Space. Working with that project, fantastic. We have wonderful anchors in downtown. As I mentioned earlier, with new technology and social media, our city has never been more transparent with information and communications than we are today. My goodness sakes. I can go on our city website and I can read the whole packet that's going to be before me on Monday night, and so can every citizen. When I started in 1990, that didn't exist. I can find out exactly what the city budget is by making a click on the city website, or go to the grocery store. Okay? Either one of them will work. And my biggest thing, I will say, that everyday citizens with their problems and issues that always came up, I got phone calls, things I couldn't help people with. Your Honor, yeah. Hey, my sister's in jail. Can you get her out? Probably not. But I did get a lot of phone calls. Lots of times you can help people. Sometimes you just have to redirect them. And I hope that I was fair on the city council. It's something that was important to me. Gail's here from the Capitol, works with me in the chief clerk's office. I'm a process guy, maybe because I'm a creature from there. But I think process is very important, to be fair and let everybody heard, and to be orderly. And I hope I did that on the city council. I'm almost done, so bear with me. Serving as mayor of this wonderful community has been the greatest privilege of my life. Since I was a little boy, I thought that serving as an elected person would be so cool. I know, I'm nuts. I'm 9 years old. I'm 68 going on. You know, people run for election, you put a name next to them, and then they get to do this job, whether it's a mayor or a governor or a president or a council person or a representative. You're putting a lot of faith in these people. I understood that, and I thought that was so cool. That is really neat. I want to do that someday. I also knew that there couldn't be a higher responsibility or an opportunity to do good. Serving as mayor has not always been easy. I can tell you that. It's not always been easy, and the other mayors in this room can tell you that. The relationships that are built, though, they last a lifetime. And the trials you face helps build one's resolve to do better and to learn. I'm so grateful to the people of this great city for allowing me to serve them all these years. It has enriched my life. And as together we build a better community, it's been a fun ride the whole way. Our future in Hastings will be bright, and I look forward to the many advances our city will make in the years ahead. Before I close, I just looked up and I noticed Sam back there, one of Susie's boys. I missed him right over there. And, oh, is the mayor-elect here? Yeah. Mayor-elect, where are you? Come on in here. For goodness sakes, Mary. Everybody welcome the mayor-elect, Mary Fassbender. Thank you, Mary, for being here. I wanted to note Sam's here, that's Susie's boy, and then her her other son, Jacob, called me. He said, Paul, I want to really be there, but he has a final tonight. I said, well, you picked the right thing. You got to be at your finals. So he's taking finals. And Sam goes to Concordia, and next year he's going to finish up at the University of Wisconsin in River Falls. So thanks, Sam, for being here. So to present and future mayors and council members, I leave with this message. And it's funny, Councilmember Brox, you gave that quote. I have that quote. But I'm going to finish it, because you read about half of it. I brought this. Why? Robin Hadlick, my mom's brother, lives in Grand Forks, North Dakota. When I was elected mayor, he sent me this. And it was that quote that Councilmember Brox read. And I'd like to read it for you, and I want to end on that, because I took this when times were good. I read this when times were tough. And it always gave me strength to read it. If you allow me, and I'll be done. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or where the doers of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust, sweat, and blood, who strives, who errs and comes short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails, while daring gratefully and greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Thank you, Uncle Robin. And thank you, everybody. And I will say what I've normally said at council, right? When we get toward the end, I believe that we're fully informed. My glasses come down to the end of my nose. Council, I believe we're fully informed. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being so patient. I appreciate it.